teenage girls into their limousine, giving them drugs and alcohol, and then attacking them. So far, police have identified 7 victims in the Vancouver area.
A new airline could mean some big bucks for Boeing. We have details just ahead. Plus,
programs are going in on time. The disturbances that
Boeing blasts off on a historic mission out of this world to catch a comet.
There's help on the way for this stuck freighter. We now know when they could try and refloat it.
And they had the dresses, the rings, but they were missing a partner. Love stories just in time for Valentine's Day. That's ahead in our picture of the night.
Number 1 on the weekend. You're watching King 5 News with Shannon Brenius, Alan Schaffler, John Miller's First Alert Weather, and Guard Swanson's Sports. Coverage you can count on. King 5 News at 11.
And now we have an update and on to some breaking news that we reported at the top of our newscast. George Back and Diane McManus, 2 snowmobilers from Kelso who have been missing for 10 days, were found today. They were found by a group of snowmobilers headed by one Daryl Bruner of Redmond. And Valerie St. John of King 5 is with Daryl Bruner now, and she joins us now live from Redmond. Valerie?
That's right. We were at the Redmond home of Daryl Brunner, who was out snowmobiling with 3 of his friends when he came upon George Back and Diane McManus. They had been there for a total of about 10, 11 days. Tell me what happened next. What did they say to you?
He was ecstatic that somebody had found him, and he couldn't believe that we were there.
I should point out also that Diane McManus didn't make it.
No.
What happened next? You left the scene, you went out to get help, and what happened from there?
Yeah, I left Alan and Dan with him, and we left Gatorade and some food that I had in my machine, and I raced all the way back to the snow park and got a hold of a mobile phone and called 911, and we went from there.
Okay, so you realized you had George Back sitting there lying in the snow, is that right?
Yeah.
Tell me where Diane McManus was at this point.
She was about 4 or 5 feet away from him on the other side of the snowmobile, and she was under probably 3 feet of snow.
At what point did you realize she was even there?
We didn't, no, and Alan got to talk to her while I went for help. After talking to her, or talking to him, that he thought approximately where she was at, and they started probing around until they found her. And
there was an exhaustive search for this couple. A lot of people devoted a lot of time and resources to finding them. Could you discern what had happened to them, how they got into the snow in the first place?
It was snowing so hard that they just got disoriented, and they got into a place that's not part of the trail system up there, and they went so far up that they got stuck, and they were turning around, and that's where they stayed.
This is a fairly emotional experience for you, I can tell as you talk about it.
Yeah,
you're kind of shaking a little bit.
It was for all of us. So,
what goes through your mind when you realize you didn't have to take that route that day? You could have taken a totally different route in snowmobiling.
We were going a different way, and at the last minute, I changed my mind. I go, guys, let's go this way, and we did, and we were just lucky enough to find him.
What are your hopes at this point for George Back, who's now at Harborview Medical Center trying to recover from his injuries?
I hope the best, and Alan and I are going to try and go see him tomorrow. So,
you have any thoughts on how he survived all of this? It's an amazing amount of time to have been out there. Obviously, Diane McManus didn't make it. The proof of the conditions they were in.
I don't know. It's just, I think that the 2 dogs that they had with him probably had a lot to do with him staying alive. So they were probably giving him a little bit of heat and just something to keep him from totally going crazy, because his mental state wasn't great when he was there, when we got to him. So,
what do you think you'll remember most about this?
The first sight, just it was just an adrenaline rush when you got there and see him alive. It just, we all couldn't even believe it. You were just shaking for that 2 hours. So.
Thank you, Daryl. Thanks for talking to us. Again, at the home of Daryl Brunner, who's had an amazing experience out snowmobiling with 3 of his friends when he came upon 2 people, one of whom didn't make it, the other of whom has been taken to Harborview Medical Center tonight. Boy, what an experience, and certainly a good outcome, at least for one of them. Reporting live in Redmond, I'm Valerie St. John.
Valerie, thanks for bringing us that dramatic story.
A pilot shortage is causing huge problems for American Airlines. The airline canceled 240 flights today, including at least one at SeaTac Airport. More cancellations could come tomorrow. The problem stems from a contract pay dispute with pilots working for Reno Air, which is now owned by American. American pilots are upset because their company is paying Reno Air pilots less than their contract requires. The crew shortage began yesterday.
A new discount airline is starting up, and that could mean big business for Boeing. New Air, the name of the group, has filed paperwork with the U.S. Department of Transportation seeking permission to fly out of New York's JFK Airport. The airline plans to offer discount airfares between New York and 44 other cities around the country. The closest they'll come to the Northwest, though, is Salt Lake City and Denver. New Air is in negotiations with Boeing right now for brand new 737-700 planes and plan to be in the sky by this fall.
2, we have main engine start. 0 and liftoff of the Stardust spacecraft.
Stardust blasts off for a date with a comet. The comet chaser took off this afternoon from Florida aboard a Boeing Delta II rocket. Look at the view. If all goes well, the spacecraft will rendezvous with the comet and bring back samples of it in 2006. University of Washington astronomy professor Donald Brownlee designed this historic mission.
And a break in the weather means a salvage tug can finally head for a freighter mired in sand off the Oregon coast. That tug is expected to reach the stranded cargo ship near Coos Bay around noon tomorrow and begin trying to pull it free. After 4 days of pounding in the Pacific surf, the stranded ship is still holding together. The new Carissa's crew was airlifted to safety 2 days ago. Now, the big salvage tug is heading its way as the same one that dislodged the Exxon Valdez from Alaska's Prince William Sound. A new antibiotic is discovered and is being tested right now, but you might be surprised to find out what these teenagers have to do with the new drug.
And the Sonics get some help tonight from an unexpected source. If you've been missing the NBA, Guards got it all coming up in sports.
Not 3. This is King 5 First Alert Weather.
The rain will be increasing, the winds will be up overnight, but right now things are pretty quiet. We do have some showers out on the coast, and the snow continues in the mountains. Traction tires are required over Stevens and Snoqualmie Pass, and Stevens will be closed for a time overnight for avalanche control. This is as quiet as it's been, as I mentioned earlier, all weekend long, with just an isolated shower in the central Kitsap Peninsula. That was a little bit heavier as it was down towards Hoodsport and Union. It lifted northward, and that shower has really diminished quite a bit. Probably had some wet snow in it, but no accumulations. Temperatures are going to support some wet snow, but no accumulations. The situation changes a little bit for Monday night and Tuesday night, and we'll get into that in the 5-day forecast. You can track these showers in the mountains and over the lowlands as well, and the incoming showers to the south and west by going to our homepage, king5.com, and clicking on Live Doppler Radar. So here's the plan for the next several hours into your day tomorrow. We'll look for 35 degrees in the morning with some showers, maybe some wet snow mixed in, but that won't be a problem for tomorrow for schools or travel, really. Upper 30s at noon with maybe a sunbreak or two, possibly some thunder showers too as we get into the 5 o'clock hour. Temperatures in the low 40s, so it's going to be a cool one tomorrow. Here's the reason why as we look at the satellite picture and all of this cold air which is coming our way. The next system pushing onto the coast right now, here it is as it approaches western Washington. Behind it is the colder mass of air which will move over western Washington tonight. So it will be in place for tomorrow night and also Tuesday night with some pretty low snow levels and the possibility that we'll see some wet snow, perhaps some accumulations on the higher hilltops. Again, that won't be till Monday night, and again another round on Tuesday night into Wednesday. But at that point, it looks like things will dry out a little bit as we head into Wednesday. We get a little bit of a break before the next system moves up from the south and west and increases the rain and potentially the wind again for the latter part of the week. Well, right now in downtown Seattle, things are cloudy, 37 degrees, dry though, pressure's rising, winds are south at 13. They'll be picking up again here in the next couple of hours. 36, cloudy skies in Tacoma, southeast winds at 10. It's also cloudy in Everett, 37 degrees, their winds south at 15, and over on the east side, Bellevue at 37 degrees with a south wind at just 6 miles an hour. Showers increasing overnight tonight, maybe some wet snow mixed in, low to mid 30s, low 40s tomorrow, showers, potentially some thunder showers too during the afternoon. Rain or snow showers in eastern Washington. Temperatures from the mid-30s into the upper 40s and south to southwesterly winds on all the waters of western Washington tomorrow, strongest on the coast. Another 12 to 18 inches of snow possible above 1,000 feet in the mountains. And the 5-day outlook, again with that wet snow in the morning Tuesday and Wednesday. Otherwise, a few showers, upper 30s to about 40, increasing rain and breezes on Thursday, breezy with showers on Friday with highs in the mid-40s. Can't let our guard down yet.
No, not for a second, not for a day.
Try.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Wild, soggy stuff. Thanks, John. Well, a burst boiler on Bainbridge Island means a day off for high school students. Bainbridge High will be closed tomorrow because of those heating problems. Also, all events at the Commodore Center are canceled at least through tomorrow. Well, we've all heard that infections are becoming more resistant to antibiotics.
It's not much to look at, but inside these vials may be a medical breakthrough, a new weapon against infections discovered not by researchers, but by 3 New York high school juniors.
We would meet at Stephanie's house and spend hours just arguing over which carbons and hydrogens were attached.
The new antibiotic is called Bonactin and is being tested by a pharmaceutical company to see if it can be used to fight cancers or viruses. The students' findings will be published in a scientific journal.
The Husky football team has some company when it comes to recruiting problems.
But first, the Sonics turn to a man named Mookie in their quest to open the young season with 2 straight. Guard Swanson has a complete locker room report next.
Well, after tonight's game, Sonics coach Paul Westphal raised Moochie Norris's arm like he was a boxing champion. Tonight, it was Moochie knocking out the Blazers. Portland came into town riding high and looking to turn the Sonics season upside down. Non-stop action tonight. Aaron Williams feeds Vin Baker for the big bucket right here. Vin held to just 8. The Blazers playing tough and getting lucky. Arvydas Sabonis throws up the alley-oop and gets 3 instead. Sonics also get lucky. The Blazers save the ball, and Billy Owens says, "Thanks, fellas." Blazers led by 5 at the break. Gary Payton knows how to get it done. He was bobbing and weaving all night, and then he sticks the baseline J. GP with 32. Fourth quarter, Moochie Norris took over. He bangs home 4 straight 3-pointers. Sonics coming from 10 down. And then things get kind of wild. The Sonics swarming on defense. Dale Ellis, he'll find Moochie right here. Moochie then will find Detlef, and Detlef finds the hoop. Sonics up 75-73. Then with 1:30 to play, Gary's your guy. He's money from the baseline right here. Nothing but net. Sonics by 3. Portland had a shot to tie it, but Isaiah Ryder will find nothing but clank. The Sonics win a thriller 91-88.
A win is a win. It doesn't make a difference how you get it. You're struggling, whatever. That's a sign of a good team when you are in the game at the end of the game and you execute a play and win a game. I think that's great for us because we might be in tough situations like that, and we're going to have to do that a lot. So I don't care how we get them, as long as we win.
Well, the most important and perhaps least likely of the Sonics' 91 points, the 12 from Moochie Norris in the fourth quarter. Kemi DeKay has more from the Key.
A world away from Fort Wayne, Indiana and the CBA, Moochie Norris almost single-handedly bringing the Sonics back to life. Norris's warm-up before the game may have been a glimpse into his success in the fourth quarter.
We was just shooting set shots and, just threes and little pull-ups, and I don't recall missing a shot. I felt I was on from the beginning of the game, and I was telling Billy that, I feel it. I said, it's just like being at home playing on the playground.
Childish delight is what Moochie gave the Soups, answering questions, at least for now, about whether the Sonics need a veteran backup point guard.
It's great to see Mooch do so well because he worked so hard in practice, and he was talking the other day, he wanted to have a breakout game. He certainly helped us win tonight.
The amazing thing about Norris's fourth quarter threes that brought the Sonics back, when he arrived in Seattle, the assistant coaches had to teach him that set shot.
From the time I took the first jump shot, they told me that we're going to change that, and they changed it. They changed it, and after I shot the first one, I was like, I can learn to like this.
And the Sonics could certainly learn to like what Norris brought to the court against the Blazers. At the arena, Kemi DeKay, King 5 Sports.
The newest snake or the newest mooch, Randy Johnson still counting his money after being signed by the Diamondbacks tonight. It's Phoenix and Denver, and Tony McDyess with the hammer and the hang, but it wasn't enough. Tom Gugliotta also with some hang time as he pours in 29. Suns win big 115-108. Scores from the NBA: Utah over the Lakers, Bulls beat the Clippers, Dallas wins in double OT, Kings crown the Grizz, New Jersey over Atlanta, Detroit beats Indiana, and Miami keeps the Knicks winless. The Husky football program isn't the only one in the doghouse. Last week, the Huskies admitted to breaking minor recruiting violations. Today, Ohio State also admits to breaking the same exact rules. Both schools visited recruits in their homes during what the NCAA calls quiet time. The Buckeyes say it was an honest mistake, and they didn't have a clue, they say, that there was a rule that existed like that. Well, the Huskies and the Buckeyes will most likely find out what their penalties will be when the NCAA meets in June. Pro football now. 4 Seahawks getting busy at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. Let's check it out. And here's one of the guys right here. That's Michael Sinclair and former Hawk Michael McCrary showing off. The Seahawks really contributed to the tough AFC defense. Chad Brown chases down Jamal Anderson. Brown, 3 tackles today. In the second half, the Vikings quarterback Randall Cunningham is picked off by Patriot Ty Law and he is off to the races. 67 yards for the touchdown. The AFC cruising at this point, 17-3. The NFC tries to come back late in the game, but former Husky Chris Chandler throws to Randy Moss, and Sean Springs will break it up right here. Sean knows it's a clean play and convinces the referees too. The AFC wins it 23-10. In less than 2 weeks, the Mariners will be busy at spring training. Today, some were taking care of business at the Kingdom. A few of the players mingling with the crowd at FanFest. Pitcher Ken Cloud took time out to sign a few autographs, along with announcer Dave Niehaus right there. And manager Lou Piniella was also on hand, clean-shaven and ready for spring ball.
We've got some work to do with our pitching, but we've made some moves and we've made some changes. We've got some people in here that got experience and can do some things, and we're going to have to sort it out in spring training.
And finally, we go back to the NBA where the Pacers' Fred Hoiberg had the magic touch. There you see it against Detroit. We do have to take one more look at it in slow motion. The perfect rotation. There it is in midair, and we'll find the net as it splashes down. The Pacers still lost to the Pistons. Oh, T-Birds also lost today, 4-3.
Moochie's our man.
Moochie. It's kind of fun to say Moochie.
Picture of the night is next. Stay tuned.
Well, the wedding ceremony with millions of guests makes our picture of the night.
Of course, there were 40,000 couples tying the knot in Seoul, South Korea's Olympic Stadium today. Most of the marriages were arranged by Reverend Moon's Unification Church. Many of the couples have just met. The Reverend set them up by looking at their pictures. This is the fifth such event organized by the church, which estimates 360 million people watched the event televised live.
It's a lot of love.
That's our news for tonight. Thanks for joining us this Sunday.
We'll see you next weekend. Take care.